Hello, today I'm going to show you how to change the infusion set for a Medtronics Minimed model number 723 insulin pump. This is the one I have. In order to do this, you're going to need a few things. The first thing you'll need is the insulin vial that you've already pre-filled, some alcohol swabs, and of course your infusion set. In this case, I actually use the Medtronic brand called Mio. This is very easy to use and it's basically pain-free. So let's go ahead and get started and we'll show you how to do this. Before you get started, the first thing you want to do is you need to detach your insulin pump from yourself. And to do that, before you actually do that, you're going to need to put your insulin pump in suspend mode. So let's show you how to do that first. Okay, in order to put your insulin pump in suspend mode, all you have to do is push the ACT button, arrow down one time to suspend, press ACT again. Once you see it flashing suspend, that means you can go ahead and at this point detach the insulin pump from your body. In this case, I have my insulin pump on the right side of my side here. It's very easy to remove it. You basically squeeze both sides and it just pops out like that. Okay? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove it from the holster that the insulin pump came with. So just push it like that. Then I'm going to go ahead, this actually, it's an item that's shipped with your insulin pump. It's actually a guard at the top of the insulin pump, or actually to the left, depending on how you look at it. It basically covers the battery compartment access, and it locks the insulin pump vial, your insulin vial, in place as well. To add it to lock it in or unlock it, just use your coin and just turn, and it slides right off. Remove the insulin vial from the insulin pump. In order to do that, just hold the insulin pump in one hand and then grab the vial where the tube is coming out with the other and turn counterclockwise. Okay, so I'm going to turn it and then it's going to slowly pull that out. So that is the used insulin vial. The next step is you want to rewind the plunger inside the insulin pump. In order to do that, you want to do the following. Push ACT, arrow down to reservoir and set, or reservoir plus set, and press ACT. Then you want to select, in this case it's already defaulted to full cannula, but you want to go ahead and select reservoir setup. ACT. It's going to say rewind, disconnect tubing from body, which is I've already done. Remove reservoir from pump. We've already done that. So once we've disconnected it from your body and removed the reservoir, go ahead and press ACT to rewind. It will, when you start that, it'll say rewinding, please wait, and you can actually hear it rewinding, and you can actually watch it. If you look at the side here, this gray part is the actual plunger itself, and you'll notice as it slowly rewinds itself. Okay, at this time the plunger has already been rewound. When it finishes, you'll actually hear a couple beeps. On the front, it'll actually say rewind complete, place and lock reservoir in pump, then press ACT. Each box of Mios comes with 12 infusion sets. So let's go ahead and take one out. Put it aside. So that's the infusion set itself. Okay. Okay. So each one's individually wrapped. First thing you want to do is turn it on the side, and you'll see a red label. Go ahead and pull that. Okay. Take the paper off. Then next we're going to go ahead and take the top off. So pops off like that. And then inside you'll see the tubing for the insulin pump. Once you take the top off, you'll see the tubing for the infusion set. We're going to go ahead and unwind it. Okay. Unwind it all the way. Okay. So that's your infusion set. The next step is to go ahead and connect this end here to your insulin vial that you pre-filled. All you have to do is stick it in there and then turn to lock it in place. Okay. Okay, the next thing you want to do with your infusion set, you'll notice a few things about this infusion set. One is there's a adhesive here. This is what actually keeps the tubing and the cannula in place. And there's actually a little blue, kind of a blue transparent tubing that contains the actual needle and the cannula. So the first thing you want to do is remove the blue tubing carefully. Once you take the blue tubing off, that little blue tube off the needle, if you hold it up to the light, you'll be able to see the needle itself, as well as a clear, transparent tubing, which they call the cannula, that's wrapped around the needle. We'll show you in a minute that once you set your infusion set onto your skin, you're actually going to remove the needle, and that cannula, the plastic rubber tubing, is actually left in place. Okay, the next thing you want to do is turn the infusion set over on the back, and you'll notice there's a piece of paper there. Go ahead and remove that. Okay, and then turn it back over, and you want to go ahead and peel this little piece of paper off. This is to remove the adhesive backing. Okay. Okay, you want to be gentle when you pull that off. Okay. So, as you can see there, that's the actual needle. All this needle is used for is to help set the cannula into your body. And then finally, the next thing you want to do to set this is on the back. You'll see two little prongs here. You'll see two little prongs here. Okay, you want to go ahead and pull that back, and it's going to lock in place. Okay, so then it's going to look like this. Okay. The next step you want to do is insert the insulin reservoir into the insulin pump. I'm going to go ahead and insert here. I'm going to insert the reservoir. You insert it basically in the opposite steps that you perform to remove it. Go ahead and put it in, and you're going to turn it clockwise. Now, sometimes when you put it in, you notice that you don't show the lines for the readings. No, not a problem. Just go ahead and take it out and reset it, and then once you lock in place, then you'll see the readings. Okay. Now that we've inserted the reservoir into the insulin pump, we're going to go ahead and press Act. It's going to say Rewind Complete. This is basically where you left off. Now we want to press Act again. It's going to ask you a question. Fill tubing. Are you disconnected? So go ahead and press Act for yes. Fill tubing. So the next thing we want to do is we don't want to, before we connect this insulin pump to your body, we don't want a whole tubing full of air. We need to fill it with insulin. So in order to do that, we're going to hold the Act button down, and it's going to start beeping. And as you do this, if you turn it to the side, you'll actually see the plunger moving down towards the end of the reservoir. Now, it's going to say fill tubing, hold Act, check for drops. So what it does is we want to hold the Act button again, and it's going to basically, at this point, right now the insulin is at this spot here. We now need to fill the actual tube in itself. So if we hold Act down, the insulin pump is going to push the insulin through the tubing, and you want to keep filling it until you actually see drops at the end of the needle. So let's see if we can show this here. So right now it's filling the tubing. Okay, see? We now see drops of insulin coming out of the needle, which is what you want. Now we're going to go ahead and, now that we see the drops at the end of the needle, at the end of the cannula, we're going to go ahead and press escape for done. It's going to say, do you see drops at the end of tubing? Yes, we do, so we're going to go ahead and arrow down to yes, press act. And now it wants us to go ahead and fill the cannula. But before we do that, we need to connect, but it says fill cannula, connect set to body. So now it's time to actually connect the actual infusion set to our body. Okay, so the next step is to actually connect the infusion set here to my body. You're supposed to change it every 3 days, and you always want to alternate sides when you set the infusion set. The reason is to allow the previous spot to heal. My previous infusion set was on my right side here, and I'm going to go ahead and switch to my left side. Open up your alcohol swabs, and you want to wipe the area that you want to set your infusion set. So I'm going to go ahead and do it right here. Okay, so before you let that dry, and while you're doing that, if you remember, we went ahead and pulled this plunger out. The way this works is there's 2 little indentations on both sides of the infusion set. If you hold it like this and squeeze, it basically releases the needle. So if it's been released or you haven't done so, go ahead and pull back to lock it in place. Okay, like this. In order to prepare the tubing, there's actually little slots. Let's see if you can see it here. There's little slots here on both sides. Just make sure the tubing is in that notch there. It's not a big deal, but it just makes it a little bit easier. And then keep in mind when you set your infusion set, keep in mind the orientation of the tubing. You know, do you want it facing up? Do you want it facing sideways? It really depends on which side you want to wear your insulin pump. For me, I like to wear it on my right side, so I'm going to go ahead and try to set the orientation of the tubing closer to my right side. So to set the infusion set, go ahead and place here. Let's see. Place it where you want, where you plan to do it, and then when you're ready, you can squeeze both sides. Go ahead and slowly pull the needle out, and then make sure the adhesive is attached. Okay. So now what we have is we've taken the infusion set out. What's in my body right now is the cannula. That's that little plastic tubing that was wrapped around the needle. And of course there's the needle itself. We want to go ahead and do the next step, which is fill cannula. Press act to fill. So we'll go ahead and press act. And it's going to be flashing 0.05. Basically that's the amount of insulin that's required to fill the cannula. So go ahead and act again. And you'll see it tick away here. Once it's done, the screen will clear and you're all set. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the guard back on. Took off earlier, so slide that back on. You don't have to use this, but I like to use it just for peace of mind. Lock it in place with a penny or a coin, and then you're good to go, and put it in the holster. I'm going to go ahead and remove the one I had on before. It's basically, like I said, just adhesive. We'll just peel this out. Once you remove your previous infusion set, you'll see that it's basically the plastic piece, and you'll see, you can see it here, that's the actual plastic cannula that was in your body to feed the insulin to your body. It's just, plastic. So that's how you change the Mio infusion set for a Medtronics Minimed 723 insulin pump.